Shlama Lochon. Fadi, Vasima Rabba, bro. Firstly, big shout out to Fadi's mom, yeah, because my dad's given us the Atachat Erche, and I can't lie, it's the most Assyrian space I've ever seen.
Special permission, man.
VIP, bro. She got the one tick on WhatsApp. She's away at the moment. She got a one tick, so she's received the message.
Yeah, she'll know. I don't know if she does know. She knows. No. I asked her.
Do you know what it is? Worst case, yeah, she'll probably see this on Instagram and then be like, "Hey, wow, wow."
Which translates to, "This is my house," right?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. Sometimes I feel like we're gonna be saying some random Assyrian phrases, but we'll hopefully translate as we go along, lah.
Just some context. So
yeah, probably.
Who are you?
Oh yeah, Minshili Shimmi, bro. Shlama Lochon. Hi everyone. I'm Jason Tamu. I'm an Assyrian from London, and I'm a co-host on the Gabarra podcast.
Gabarra podcast. Perfect.
Introduce yourself, bro.
Introduce myself. I'm Fadi from London. I'm also an Assyrian. I was born in Iraq, but moved here when I was 6 months old.
And that's how you got the VIP access,
That's
bro.
how I got VIP access to Iraq.
This guy didn't pay for a visa. Do you know how fuming I was?
Come on.
$70 for a visa, bro. Are you violating?
I still got violated when I got there, so
we'll talk about that. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. But I guess for context, this podcast, the Gabarra podcast, I guess we should, Fadi, why don't we give like a translation to what Gabarra is?
Gabarra is, yeah. So Gabarra is an Assyrian word, and normally it's more for kind of explaining who, like males, or like an adjective for males. But we kind of shifted it, moved. We're progressive on the Gabarra podcast.
2023, baby.
Yeah, we're progressive. Gabarra means kind of like a man, or manly man, or like a brave person, or like a...
someone of strength and power.
Or high regard.
Exactly.
So we were thinking about doing a podcast.
We did.
We're sitting in a hotel room?
Yeah, we were 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
It was in northern Iraq, and this was maybe the first week. of our trip.
First week.
And like we were laying in bed. You know them hotel beds, bro, when like the duvets are like stuck in the bottom, and like I swear we probably looked like dolme, like wrapped tight, yeah. And we were laying down and we were just chatting, and I guess we just said like it wouldn't be sick to do a podcast together.
Yeah.
And it kind of just happened. I'm not gonna lie, we went on some impromptu like off the bat like podcast. We were just talking like this in bed. We're like, how are you guys? Welcome to the podcast. I'm half asleep, bro. The itinerary on this trip was intense. So much to do. And then, yeah, I guess from that, we kind of just decided that when we came back from Iraq, we would get into it. But I guess for context, why did we go Iraq? What did it all stem from originally? And I think our trip to Iraq, it was like, I guess, Gishru is the organization that facilitates these trips, and what they do is they bring Diaspora Assyrians into the motherland, or what we call Atra. My grandparents make fun of me for saying Atra all the time.
Translates to literally country.
Yeah.
Country.
Like, I guess like we affiliate that word with home. Like Atra is our home. So when we kind of, what Gishru do is they bring Diaspora Assyrians and they send them into the motherland, right?
Yeah.
To kind of get a feel for the culture, understand the politics, understand what the villagers and members of our community are going through.
Yeah.
I think it's a really important trip, to be honest. And like I'm glad we kind of went on it. It's my second time personally, but for Fadi it was your debut experience.
My first time on this trip. I went back to Iraq 10 years ago to my dad's village called Al-Qush in the north, which we also visited.
Big up Al-Qush.
Banging
village.
But yeah, this Gabarra podcast, it's progressive, so it's not just specifically about men.
No.
So we're gonna shout out the Gabarte,
Malikte. We can say Malikte and Malke.
The Gabarte of
our community. 100%, because I think there's a lot of males and females within our community in the Assyrian space globally that are making significant impacts and like are really making great changes for the community. So like we want to highlight them and give them praise.
One of them even is the founder of Gishru.
Yeah, 100%.
There's shout out to Susie.
Big up Suze. We see you. Follow us. We appreciate it. There's a lot of people that we can mention. We'll be here for ages if we were, to list the names. But let's get into the trip.
So the first episode.
Debut.
I think the best way to start this kind of journey is to talk about where this started, where we thought of the idea, and kind of the 2 weeks we had back home
together.
Together.
It's quite cool, man.
Gishru.
Gishru. What is Gishru? I think the word in Assyrian is Gishra. I heard a lot of people saying Gishra or Gishru. I'm not too sure.
We say Gishra. My original.
This is your dialect coming in.
Dialect,
I see.
My dialect. Gishra, which means bridge in Assyrian, or Gishru, which is Akkadian. Similar same language, similar dialects. It's a bridge. So the concept of Gishru, it's the bridge to, well, they call it the bridge to Assyria. So we embarked on a 2-week trip back home.
It was intense. A lot of emotions. I guess there was a phrase we used to say a lot on the trip, is a pishly emotion. Which is just, I guess to translate, is like, I'm full of emotions. I'm emotional. I don't know why we use pishly, but there's something funny about that word. So I'm kind of glad we use it.
I think we did it because that's how our parents would normally speak in English. Pishly emotion.
They skip half the phrases to actually build a sentence. So that's what we're trying to do in respect of our parents.
We basically were our parents for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's how it felt, honestly. So when I went Gishru last year...
fast forward 15 years.
Yeah, fast forward. That's a big fast forward. We've just travelled in time. Fadi DM'd me because he saw some stories I was posting Gishru. Whoa, who's this cool Assyrian guy? Is that Jason? Wow, man, he's a really cool guy.
Needs a haircut.
Yeah, definitely. Need a trim, bruv. And the worst thing is, I got a trim recently, man. Don't throw shade on me. I'm trying to grow the bun, just for context. And then Fadi was popping up on stories like, hey, where is this? Like, what's the trip? You know, and kind of wanted context.
I wonder how seriously you took me when I messaged you about, this looks really good. I really want to go.
Do you know what
I bet he must have got so many messages. Like,
bro,
know what? Yeah, everyone's saying this now, but how serious are you?
My DMs were flooding in the most humble way possible, like with loads of Assyrians from London. It was cool, don't get me wrong. Like, some of them I don't speak to, some I do, but like they were all like, where is this? I need to go. I need to go. And when you get that kind of consistently, you're like, okay, you know, I could tell you all about it, but realistically, are you going to go or not? But Fadi, to give him props, he applied.
So we did the interviews in December. Funny story, it was the World Cup at the time. And then my interview was right in the evening while I think England were playing. So I was being interviewed.
What kind of poor structuring is that?
It was my fault.
Oh, your fault. Alright, fine.
So I'm like half looking at like the game and then half like answering why I really deeply want to go on this trip.
Fadi's eyes there on the match. He's like cross-eyed going out.
I'm like getting angry, like nothing's happening, and then and I'm like trying to explain this and like it's a dream come true. I mean, it is a dream come true to go back.
Was it the England? Oh, what game was it?
Do you know what game it was? I think it was a knockout stage game. But
it's a big game.
So it was a big one, But yeah, we did the interview in December, and then I think in early January, we got the email confirmation.
And it was official.
Like, you know what? Congratulations.
Yeah, man.
You're on the trip.
You were in.
And then the WhatsApp group commenced.
And then it was booking flights. We went to the pub. That's probably the most English thing we could have done to book this flight. But we were in the middle of the pub. For us as Londoners, the flights were not too bad. I feel like all in travel, probably like 6-7 hours, right?
Yeah.
So I think the flight... This was during Lent as well, actually, and Gessie's probably going to be really mad at me for this, but...
Our Bishop.
I gave up caffeine for Lent, and I was doing all right. I was genuinely doing really well. I was so tired, but when we went, our flight was at 6 a.m, right?
Yeah.
And then the girls wanted to come at like 3.
Yeah.
We're like, please, bro, like 3 a.m. We're going to wait 3 hours in Heathrow. Everything was closed as well.
Yeah.
So we got there like 4-ish. Checked in, did what we needed, and then I was just like, I need a coffee. I'm dying. And we went to Pret.
Shout out Pret.
Big up Pret.
If you want to sponsor us, I mean,
send us a few Sandos, bro.
Here. You know, I'm here for the sponsor.
I like a baguette. Do you know what I mean?
I don't mind shouting you out. You know.
The only thing is pricey, bro. Pret is expensive, man.
It's the airport tax.
It's the airport tax. Violations as well. And you think duty free, bro? Duty violation, bro. What duty free? So we went to Pret, and I ordered a coffee. It's my first coffee in a month.
Yeah.
Bro, when I tell you, I sipped the flat white, the caffeine coursing through my veins.
From heaven.
I was like this, bro. I was like, when's the flight? When's the flight? Itching. When's the flight? And I don't know what that had to do with anything, but yeah, that was that. And then we got on the flight. Then we touched down in Austria. So we touched down in Vienna, and we had an hour. Was it 1 hour to get between?
Yeah, that 1 hour. And you'd think, like logically, if they know we're connecting because they were calling out like. They were saying, okay, if you're going to take this flight, this is the gate, this is whatever. You think with an hour, they'd know that, you know what, we'll help them out. We'll give them a gate closer to the one we've just landed in. nah,
bro.
Like, let's test their fitness.
Their fitness before they go and eat mazgoof and go and fill themselves with kebab. Let's see how far they can run.
How fit they are.
You know when they see in the airports and they're like, they check your ticket and they're like, gate 525, and you're like, oh my god, bro, we have 1 hour, and the flight was delayed. We were behind as well, so probably had less than an hour.
Yeah.
And we were running like track stars, bro. And then the lift was full, and we all
lift to take, I don't know, 400 people up.
Yeah, and it only fitted 4 people.
Yeah.
So like it was like we're taking an L if we go on this lift.
So I had the bright idea of let's take the stairs.
Yeah, Fadi, the track star referee, bruv, wants to go up 5 floors by feet, and then we're carrying our luggage. It was so killer, man. But we bumped into the first 2 applicants.
We bumped into 2 people that were on the first group to land,
which is Shimon or Simon or Shimon. And Amanda,
his cousin, they're cousins.
Yeah, they're family. So big up them guys. They were the first ones we met, and incredible people, man. Very intelligent, very knowledgeable as well.
Yeah.
And like I feel like just talking to both of them whenever I had the opportunity, I learned a lot. Like honestly, massive respect to you two. And then we connected, and then their seats were in a different place, and then we kind of dispersed again. And then we landed in northern Iraq. So we landed in the airport.
Let's just start with on the flight, because you were going through the pictures of last year. And then in my head, and I kind of built this up for like weeks. For weeks.
Okay.
I'm like, you know what? We need to hit a mazgoof.
We need a mazgoof.
A mazgoof is basically grilled carp, which is
carp.
Fish. It's a river fish.
Okay.
So they get it from the river. So it's specifically carp.
It's delicious.
It's the best thing.
Bro. Words can't put. Like, I'm looking in London for a mazgoof spot, so please, anyone who knows, message me, please. That was our priority.
That was right? Like, you know what? For this trip for 2 weeks, at least if I hit one mazgoof's place,
I'm calm.
And then just try it, I'll be sorted.
Calm. And like, we'll get into the mazgoof in just a second. I want to tell them.
I just want to give the context of that.
No.
That's something
the hype is real, but I want to give them context into like our arrival at the airport.
Oh, that's
joke
a whole podcast
pig.
itself.
That is a whole episode, bruv. Don't even get me started, but I'll let Fadi go because he got the biggest violation, so I'm not even going to say it.
We land, and there's like, I don't know, like 10 booths for immigration. And me thinking, you know what? I don't need a visa. They're going to welcome me back with open arms. You know, this guy's born in Baghdad. Come here. Welcome home.
He's from Ends,
This
bro.
is your country. This is you. I thought the red carpet will be laid out. Paparazzi. So we waited 10 minutes. We must have waited like 45 minutes, 1 hour until like everything filtered out, and they were asking loads of questions to everyone.
Bro, even sorry to cut you, bro. The queues. Simon, I'm gonna call him Shimon because I feel like it's the Assyrian way to call him. But Shimon was like the first of our group because we were all queuing in one area.
No, we were all together, and we were like, you know what? Let's split up because it'll be better if we split up.
Bro, it was a Scooby Doo. Let's look for clues thing, bro. We split. And then Shimon goes here, Amanda goes here, Nicole goes here, Daddy. I don't even think it made a difference. I feel like it was just long, regardless.
Yeah.
And then all I'm looking, so I think me and Fadi were the last 2.
Yeah.
So Fadi was in front of me, and I'll let you tell the story because it's so funny, bro.
It is wild. So I go up there, give my passport, say hello. The guy just gives me bare evils. He just looks at me, goes through my passport, looks at where I'm from, and just goes, Fadi Mansour? I'm like, yes. And he looks at me again, looks at my picture, looks at me again, goes, where are you from? And I'm like, from UK, England. He goes, here, it says you're born in Baghdad, Iraq. I'm like, yeah, I was born there. I was born, but I moved there when I was 6 months old, moved to the UK. And he goes, Arabi, Kurdi? He's asking me if I speak Arabic or Kurdish. I'm like, I'm sorry, I speak Assyrian, if you can. But I also speak English, so English would probably be best.
Probably easier.
He looked at me again, like I really offended him at this point. And he goes
Disrespect.
to me, he goes, no, but if you're Assyrian, you should speak Arabic and Kurdish. And I'm like, okay, now I know where I've landed.
Yeah, don't think that's how it works, man, to be honest.
I'm not sure how that works, but yeah. And then he looks at me again, and he goes, this doesn't look like you on my passport. My official British UK passport.
Don't look like you, bro.
This doesn't look like you. And I was like, what do you mean it doesn't look like me? And he goes, this is a different picture. This is you when you was younger. And I'm like, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, this passport lasts for 10 years, bro.
It's a 10-year passport. What do you want me to do? But he looks at me and he goes, this bit got me because I couldn't hold myself laughing. So he looks at the passport. He gets it.
It's like this, bro.
He looks at me and he goes, take 2 steps backwards. Because apparently I'm going to be HD. I'm going to be HD if I take 2 steps backwards.
Do you know what it is? You were too close to him.
I was too
he needed
close
to see
him.
you clearly.
I got to take
Makes
2 steps.
sense.
I was like, that's fine. Take 2 steps backwards. He literally goes up to the window.
His nose is squished against the window, bro.
And us like Middle Eastern noses, like.
He was here, but his nose was touching here, bro.
He was 5 meters behind and his nose still in it. So he's looking at me, he goes straight to the window, and he's like looking at me, and I just burst out laughing. No word
How
of
can
a
you
lie.
not, though?
I burst out laughing,
How can
and then
you not,
even
bro?
he smirks a little bit.
It's funny, bro. The Middle Eastern Pinocchio is staring at you, bro.
Dead.
What do you expect?
I was like dead, and I'm like all the stories that my dad told me and everything, like just came back.
all the PTSD,
all the
bro.
PTSD, and I'm just bursting out laughing. And then he goes to me, "Do you have any other forms of ID?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
License.
I have my driver's license."
Yeah.
With the same exact picture as the passport. I'm like, bro, we're getting nowhere here.
This is pointless. But you know what? Him looking at the exact same picture on a different form of paper is like,
Yeah, it's like,
why didn't you just give me this first?
Exactly.
Bro, I remember you went in and I saw the hassle. I was like, Mom's life, I have no patience for this, bro. So I remember I went in. He's done the same thing again. This guy is squinting, bro. His eyes would have popped out his sockets. He was squinting that hard, yeah. He was looking at the passport and he was like, "Taqji Arabi," which translates to like, "Do you speak Arabic?" And I was like, "No, Inglesi, bro. British. Crumpets and tea, bro. This is what I speak." And then he's looking and he goes, "Where's your beard?" Right? This is me trimmed as well, bro. I intentionally trimmed my beard for this trip.
Yeah.
Just to cover myself, yeah. Obviously, I was 15, bro.
Why didn't you have a beard at 15, bro? Why can't you just grow up at 15 years old?
Do you know what it is? Most Middle Easterns probably have a beard coming out the fetus. Do you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't gifted with that, with that genetic. So I had no beard in my picture, and this guy's like, "Where's your beard?" I was like, "Bro, this was taken 10 years ago. Like, what? Where is it in my pocket? Where's my beard? What do you mean, where's my beard?" So I told him, I was younger. I've grown up.
Did
now.
you have to explain like puberty to him and that?
Yeah,
like,
so
science?
when a man and a woman... No, I'm joking. And then at that point I was like, "Do you know what? Just cooperate because I don't want to make things harder." And then, he let me in. And then, bro, it's the bus.
The bus. This is the best bit.
So basically, we come out. We're like, "Oh my God, it's Atra. It's the home.
Yeah.
Bet Dian. It's our house, our home, our family." I'm excited. I'm gassed. We're all excited. Taking selfies. If you had the Assyrian flag,
The Assyrian
man whips out, he rips out all his clothes from the suitcase, pulls out his socks and tabana khute, his underwear all over the floor, pulls out the flag. We're getting pictures. Obviously, I'm like, okay, cool. What do we do now? Like, we're just in northern Iraq. Where do we go?
Yeah.
Then I get a text from Mariam, who's one of the trip leaders this year. Big shout out Mariam and Pia. They did an incredible job. So I get a message. Mariam's like, "Hey, welcome to home. Welcome home." I'm like, like my heart is full, bro. And then she's like, "Look out for a guy with a sign that says Gishru."
Yeah.
I was like, cool.
Me thinking, us thinking it's like an A3 sign, Gishru.
The Uber man.
Yeah.
Outside the airport.
Yeah.
Gishru, whatever. I'm looking, Fadi's looking, we're all looking, we go up and down the road, no one's there, bro. Then, some sus guy with a clipboard, he's looking at me, we catch eyes, and I'm like, polite nod. He walks over, he's like...
No, he does that thing where he's like...
Bro, as if everyone...
around.
As if he's about to exchange some packs, bro.
A man just slips you...
He goes with a clipboard. I'm looking at this clipboard. Pink sticky note, bro. This small. It's not even that big. Pink.
I love the colour choice.
Gishru. In the tiniest font. He had the whole sticky note. This guy put it in the tiny corner. And I'm squinting and it's like, Gishru. I was like, Mariam told me it was a sign. This is a sticky note. Yeah. But I'm gonna assume this is the person. So we went on the bus. Journey's there and we're like, where do we go? And then I have Samir call me. So this is Mariam's husband. And also Samir was a great help, like making us feel welcome and taking care of us. So thank you, Samir. Samir's on the phone. I've got some random Iraqi number. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, who's calling me? And honestly, he's like, Jason, it's Samir. I was like, oh, Samir, what's going on? He goes, "Tell the guy you're going to the Hyssos hotel." And I'm like, wait, what? Does he not know?
Where's he driving?
Where are we going,
Where are you going, bro?
Wait, big man, relax. You're driving 100 miles an hour on the Iraqi. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? My first hour in Atra, I'm getting kidnapped, bro. I was like, oh my God. So Samir's like, yeah, tell him Hyssos hotel. I was like, all right. And I was like, sorry, boss, Hyssos hotel. And he's like, oh, yeah. And then he like turns. And I'm like, bro, where have we been going, bro? So then we get to the hotel. Samir and Mariam are there. Yeah. And then they welcomed us, right?
Yeah.
So
can we just talk about going back to the Mazgoof story?
Yeah. Go on now. He's been dying for the Mazgoof. Go on. Tell them.
Literally, as soon as we pull up to the hotel, the doors of the coaster, our little coach, open, and the first smell I get was mazgoof. So what? I mean, clearly, like, we're blessed because God heard our prayers on the plane. I think, that's actually a caveat. If you want your prayers answered, probably do it on the plane because you're probably closer to God that way.
Yeah.
So,
you're higher up in the sky. It's that meme. Is it that meme?
Yeah.
Is it with roll safe? God, back to the mazgoof.
So we get there and the best thing ever, there's a mazgoof spot literally next door to our hotel. Did you see Samir descale the cup? Yeah, he left no fish on that bone. He literally descaled it so well.
Bro, he's a fishmonger.
He's a fishmonger.
He's a cop.
He's a man of many talents.
Yeah, this guy, he does a lot of things, you know.
Man of many talents.
And like that was the first night. Like we just buried our heads in mazgoof, and then there was a lounge upstairs on the hotel.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, we met a few people. One guy from Australia.
Yes.
Rocked up, Sargon.
Absolute G, bro.
Poor guy had to travel like days to get there. He left before us.
Yeah, 100%.
And we still got there before him.
At least a week before us.
Let's kind of talk about the group then.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, like once everyone sort of... I mean, it was the next day or the day after everyone kind of came together?
Yeah, I think the itinerary started, Sunday?
It was on Sunday.
We got there on Friday.
That was the official first day.
People were flocking in kind of Saturday and then end of Sunday morning.
It was like dispersing, like slowly people were coming in. And yeah, man, the whole group was incredible.
Where were they from?
Where were they not from?
International.
United Nations in Iraq is basically what it was. But I think majority were from California.
Yeah.
But in general,
shout out California.
Big up Cali, big up the West Coast. But gang, I don't know. That was so cringe. Let me do that again.
Yeah.
Big up California, West Coast, and that. We see you guys. I think convention is happening there this year, so I feel like a lot of them will probably end up going. But yeah, I guess on a broader sense, it was the US, Canada, Europe, Australia.
Shout out 2 people from 3 people technically.
A lot of Aussies this year, man. Honestly,
3 Aussies.
Their 3-month trek to Iraq was tough, bro. You know, like in Lord of the Rings, where Frodo's trekking to Mordor. This is probably the equivalent, but Ultra edition.
Yeah.
But yeah, like people came from everywhere, and it was kind of exciting because it's nice to have a good perspective on how Assyrians are living in other diaspora communities, and like it's just incredible for people to come together and tell them about what their lifestyles are like or what their communities are doing. Because London's quite a small community, not a very big population in London, I don't think.
No, they said 4,000, 5,000?
Roughly, I think something like that. I think the church is actually doing that kind of like...
census.
They're doing a census, so we'll get you a number in the next episode.
Yeah.
But like, it's interesting to see like the likes of Australia, you know, Sydney, and how big their communities are, or even in the US, like they're doing a lot of cool stuff. But it was such a good group, very like educated group, very knowledgeable, very eager to learn, and just cool people all around. Like it felt very natural, and it was very smooth sailing in terms of like
everyone
the dynamic.
I mean, you'd expect with a packed itinerary for 2 weeks,
it gets intense.
People would like. I'm not going to say get on or not get on. Or
people will kill each other.
Yeah. But I hate Jason.
Yeah.
But like now we've got a podcast.
Well, thank God. The second week, me and Fraddy had a bit of a break in terms of roommates. So I had David, who was serenading me with his acoustic guitar, and then I think you had.
And I had Shimon, who was like, I learned so much educationally. And like the most quiet guy. So
Fraddy came back with a university degree, and then I came back with a grade 8 guitar.
I came back with a PhD. You came back with an album.
I came up with a mixtape.
The group. So like everyone got on so well for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
like I can genuinely say we've made like lifelong friends.
100%.
Probably even family now.
I mean, I hate to brag, Faddy, but obviously I knew a couple of these men prior, innit? You know, big up Anton. Obviously, Australia doing his thing on TikTok, bro. Have you seen him? He's doing it.
Killing it.
This guy, I could give him the most random item in the world, and he'll go back, figure it out in Surit, and come back to me and say it's Surit.
And he's only 18. 18,
bro. We sound like old people when we say that. He's only 18, but like incredible knowledge.
Yeah.
And like massive respect. Like I think he learned Surit by himself, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
All self-taught, and like it's accurate to the T. And like there was a few others that I had known were coming prior, so it was cool to like meet these people in person, because like you talk on Instagram and like you build relationships with people, and then you're like, oh my god, like you're 3D, you're real,
you exist,
you're a real person. So yeah, it was really cool in that respect, and like we met everyone, and then I guess once everyone was in, it was time to like get started on the trip. Let's get into the topic of villages. Right?
I think that's I'd say the crux of kind of all what unites all of us, because as Assyrians we don't have a country, but we all come from a village, or what we say, a mata.
A mata, yeah.
So we all have like our own villages. There's hundreds of Assyrian
loads,
villages.
bro, loads.
We luckily I wouldn't say the key villages, but I'd say some of the big ones that are still populated by quite a few Assyrians.
Yeah, the mainstream villages.
The mainstream villages. Shout out Al Qush and them, man.
Gang. To be fair, that was the first one actually. We went to Al Qush,
yeah.
was one of the first villages,
Yeah.
right?
We even went there twice.
We did. Fadi was gassed because it was his town, innit?
My village, my ends.
Fadi was there, Shlam al Kudash, bro. He's greeting everyone.
Everyone knew my granddad, everything. Honestly, the best time ever. But yeah, the villages. I think that's probably one of my favourite parts. Seeing all the villages that I've heard about growing up. The villages my parents have spoken about. The villages we hear in music.
Yeah. I mean, loads of like singers are repping villages, and there's like tunes like. Bada, bada. I'm not gonna sing. I'll leave that for Peter and Denise. But like Barwar has a song, Al Qush has a song, Nala has multiple Al Qush variations. I think Nala has a song as well. So like they're very like proud, like to the point where they're making music about their own villages. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Actually, let me go with Fadi first, because I kind of know the answer to this. What was your favourite village?
My favourite village.
Have a think.
Think about that.
There's a lot of villages, Fadi.
No, I mean, aside from Al Qush, which is my dad's village, I never thought I'd see it again.
Really?
10 years fast forward, my grandparents live there.
Crazy, man.
And we have our own family home there. It's been around for like over 100 years.
The history.
My great grandparents had it.
It's incredible,
so,
man.
And like multiple people occupied it at a time. It's a family home. 10 years ago, and then ISIS came. Oh, so we visited 10 years ago, and then ISIS came. My grandparents fled, vacated the property. No one lived there. Al Qush was a stronghold in terms of it wasn't penetrated by ISIS, but it nearly was at the time.
Yeah, the people at the checkpoints apparently had left.
Yeah, so in Al Qush, the Kurdish forces, there's a checkpoint just before you get into Al Qush, and the Kurdish forces vacated it as soon as they heard about ISIS.
No notice either from what we were told.
Didn't tell the village, didn't tell the people of the village, so that left kind of the Assyrian kind of forces, or the militia, to kind of look after to defend Al Qush.
Yeah.
And luckily they didn't have to. I mean, they worked really hard, and they planned really well, and the most incredible people, and held the fort for Al Qush. It wasn't penetrated. I don't know how close they got there. They were pretty close.
From what I heard, I think the stories that we were being told and stuff was that they got close, but they hadn't quite gotten to Al Qush, which is incredible, because I feel like Al Qush holds a lot of history. Yeah. Especially like the monastery, right? Exactly, and like we had the privilege to go and visit it, and I can't put into words how beautiful and how incredible it is, even just from the journey up, because my granddad had told me a story. When he was younger, they didn't have roads, right? Obviously, the classic, I walked 15 hours to school.
That's
kind
true.
Of story.
I believe
no.
I believe my parents.
We learned.
Yeah, we know from now firsthand when my parents said it used to take me 3 hours to get to school in the morning. I believe them.
I take your word for it now.
I believe you now.
And we had roads to walk on, bro. Do you know what I mean? And we're complaining. Yeah. This is the Western us being very ungrateful. But like them stories are so true now. Because like when I spoke to my granddad, he was like, I've been to Rabah Hormuz, and like I had to walk up the mountain from the top, like from the bottom to the top. And there was no roads. Our coaster, thank God, thank is God. Our coaster drove us pretty high up. Yeah. There's no roads. There's no coasters, bro. These lot walked barefoot from bottom to top, because I think there was a tradition or like a folk story. I don't know how, it's probably true, but if you walk it barefoot from the bottom to the top, if you make a wish or you pray for something, it comes true.
There's loads of those. I don't know how true it is, but yeah.
Word on the streets. Word on the streets. When we went to the top, we finally made it. Yeah. All of us knackered, bro. The fitness, the reality check. When we went to the top and we saw the beauty of this monastery, and also just the views from the top, you can see we'll get pictures and videos, but like you see the swell and the turns on the road.
You can see the valley. There's basically Ninware, which is kind of the valley.
You see everything, and like it's such a breathtaking view. Like you can't get this in England. You can't get this in a lot of countries we're all from. So to see it was I can't put into words. I just can't. I'm speechless.
It's literally carved into the mountain.
Yeah, it really is. Like people say that they're like, oh yeah, okay, like I'm sure there's some structure, but there's no structure.
No.
The only structure we had was the itinerary getting us to Al-Qush. There was no structure. But like we got a tour of the monastery.
We got a tour of the monastery, and we got to see. So Rabban Hormuz was kind of a monk. A monk, yeah, he was a monk.
I believe he was, yeah.
And the monastery's named after him. Faithful man, very faithful, and we saw kind of where he was praying, his chamber where he'd pray constantly to God. He'd lock himself in it. We saw one of the chambers.
Was it with the?
It was that one, but also the one with his hair. So he. As a monk, he'd grow out his hair, and there's a specific chamber he'd sit in, and then he'd lock himself in there and pray to God constantly, hours on end. And then what he'd do is he'd tie his hair to these chains.
Wow!
So every time he got tired and fell asleep,
he'd wake up
and continue to pray.
The amount of faith and level of devotion someone has to God for them to tie their to stay awake and force themselves to pray. It's insane. And I can't really. It's so hard to fathom what life was like for these monks back then. Like you hear the stories and you're sort of like, no way. It's so crazy. Is it really true? And it just puts things into perspective.
It was convicting. I mean, amongst a lot of things that convicted us over the 2 weeks, but
it was a lot.
One thing, I mean, for me personally, I'm quite. I'd like to think I'm quite faithful, and my faith is very important to me. And to hear stories like that, where there's so many things that take over our lives in the West.
Yeah.
For someone to be like, you know what, I'm going to constantly pray, and nothing's going to stop me praying, and I'm going to go through pain, just to focus my life on God.
Yeah.
So I think it was very convicting.
And a lot of these villages have such interesting stories, and there's very special things about each of these villages. Like no matter where you go, it's not no village is the same.
Yeah.
The people are different. The community is different. The the churches are very different. And their lifestyles are very different. So with Al-Qush, they live. I feel like they have quite a beautiful village. It kind of reminds me of ancient Rome in some aspects.
Yeah.
The architecture and the way it looks inside is incredible. It's beautiful.
Al-Qush has kept its identity.
Yeah.
Because of the people. I think sometimes they could. I'd say we get bad rep because we only we only give land to Al-Qushnaya, people from Al-Qush, or you need to know people within the family. They need to know who the family is and everything. But I think it's the Al-Qush's kind of not slogan, but kind of its identity is kind of in Assyrian is Yimit Metwate, which means the mother of the villages, because it looks after other villages. Even during ISIS, we saw that we took in a lot of people from other neighbouring villages that were impacted. And to this day, they still live there. One
thing that I saw in Al-Qush, which was incredible, was that German guy. Okay, so imagine, you're in North Iraq. No, the chances of anyone who's European that's living there is very slim.
Yeah.
You're only surrounded by Assyrians. There was this one random German don who just loved northern Iraq. I think he visited for to do some photos. He's a photographer.
Yeah.
I'll try to find his Instagram and I'll kind of connect it here because Ninos, I think, got it.
Yeah.
Ninos spoke to everyone, bro. And he's another person we'll get into after. But there was this German guy who was an incredible photographer. He's taking loads of pictures. And some of the content he has is phenomenal. It shows how beautiful the north is. And he lives there. And they call him Al-Qushnaya. When we got a tour from one of the leaders in the community, he was saying, we call him Al-Qushnaya, which is the tribe or the people you affiliate with or that you're from. So he was there and they loved him and they respected him to the point where they call him Al-Qushnaya, which I don't feel should be seen as a light thing.
No, absolutely not.
If someone's given a title of Al-Qushnaya or Bawanaya or, if you're given that, it's an honor. And you should feel very, very blessed to be, affiliated with a village as a Nakhraya. So a Nakhraya is, I guess, a non-Assyrian.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think he takes it very well because he helps rebuild stuff and he's helped fix things and kind of bring the village back together, which is really nice. It's beautiful to know that there's, Nakhraya who are so in love with our community, our heritage, our culture, that they're willing to kind of pick everything up and relocate.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes about how incredible Assyrian people are and how amazing we are as a community and as a nation and how loving we are. I can't stress enough how welcoming everyone is. And I was going to get into this because about my favorite village.
Yeah. What was your favorite village?
Mine was Diana.
Yeah.
And Danya's gonna love me for this because she's from Diana. It's not because I'm friends with her. I like it for me. But like when we went to Diana, it was incredible. It was kind of similar to Alkosh in the sense it was really high up. It was, within the mountains and stuff. And just the people, there was something about the people that I met in Diana where I was like, these are the most friendly, warm and welcoming people. But like there was something about Diana that stood out to me.
Yeah.
There's loads of churches in Diana.
There's a church every corner you go to.
Every corner.
Which I love.
No, I'm not complaining.
I'm
like
here for it.
It's great.
Yeah.
There's like beautiful, massive ones, and there was one small one. Bro, I had to crouch to get into it. Did you see the box? Yeah. It was like a box on.
I'll walk straight through it. It was fine for me.
You were fine.
Yeah,
for me, I was crawling into this church and just quickly drop across and then kind of make my way back out. But like, their faith is very strong there, and we got to even have the privilege. It was an honor to play with the kids. We played on their AstroTurf pitch.
Played football. They smoked us.
Yeah, I was going to tell them that, Sadie, but they beat us.
No, give them a shout out.
Yeah.
Credit where credit's due.
If these kids are listening, big yourselves up because you are all very talented and great footballers.
I love your Route 1 football.
Yeah, Route 1, ping the ball, hope for the best, and they got the best. They scored.
Inshallah thing, right?
Yeah, that is. Bro, we got smoked 4-2.
Bro, it was bad.
But bad. To be fair, our team was all right. Ninwe was there. We had Tanis, we had Rob and Ninos.
Yeah, no, but the girls, man, they're like proper good ballers.
They're ballers.
ballers.
They were talented, bro.
Yeah.
It was Ninwe and Tanis were doing the most. Like Tanis had this technical ability, bro, that I was like, wow, she's turning and twisting
she
and
should
playing.
get into the Canadian women's team.
The Canadian women's Assyrian team.
Yeah,
if there is one.
Team, if there ever is one.
Get Tanis in the squad. And Ninwe just tackles on tackles, bro. This girl had grazes and
she came off of like injuries and like
limping. One leg
limping
done out, bro. And then we only scored 2 goals. I scored the 2 goals, but Fadi came in with some sick assists.
2 assists.
So the synergy was on the London
you
synergy.
Can tell we played together before.
Yeah. That top quality football. But like I found Diana people to be very selfless. There was one of Danya's relatives, bro. Danya was a celebrity in Diana. Everyone, she's like, yeah, that Lulu. And do you know Lulu? I think is her auntie.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is Lulu's niece.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say so? Come in. Like the blessing she had. I have some really nice videos of her like interacting with relatives, and there was one elderly lady. She came out with I think her daughter.
Yeah.
And they came to the door, and there's 35 of us, 35 man deep in her front garden.
Yeah.
And then she's like, Termon, water.
Yeah.
Like, come in,
have some chai.
have some tea. Bring you the 35 man, and you're gonna get 35 man in your house. It was a small house, but like the givingness and like
hospitality. I think there's so much said about Assyrian hospitality.
Yeah.
Wherever we went, the minimum they'd give us is either tea or water.
Yeah.
Minimum.
And like that's a lot, like just for them to open doors and arms and love to us. Like we don't know them. They don't know us.
Yeah.
They don't owe us anything.
No, absolutely.
And
we probably won't see him again.
No, probably not. Unless we come back next year, we'll come back specifically to the Khaltul's houses. But God willing. But yeah, they don't owe us anything. Yeah. And they don't have to be so welcoming, but they are. And like even other villages, like Nala was beautiful. Mountains.
We stayed there the night, didn't we?
We stayed a night with the villagers, and that was an incredible experience, very humbling experience.
Yeah.
They gave so much. And Fadi we shared a room. So me, Anton, Fadi, and Barsin, we had these couches, like door to door, really long ones. We had these thick duvets. They kind of gave us pillows, like we were so comfortable.
You see that? So if you're in the UK, you know what radiators are.
Yeah, heaters.
Or even heaters, or even maybe if you live in a hot country, kind of a central heating system, where you're aware of an air conditioning system.
Of course.
Over there, it's just one thing right bang in the middle of the house.
Yeah.
Takes up pretty much a lot of space, and that's their heating system. And
it's like it goes up, and then there's this tube that goes through the ceiling. So I guess like if they put wood in it and stuff to warm up, and then like all the smoke comes out of the top.
Yeah.
And like. I mean, that could keep the room pretty warm, to be fair. And then I think it was the girls, it was Adrana, Nicole, and Daniel who were next door. And then in the morning, when we woke up, we were welcomed with a breakfast, and it was
honestly an unreal breakfast.
The eggs from the chicken, bro. The chickens were down the road, bro. Across, it's their farm, right? So they gave us eggs, they gave us They gave us
cheese.
oh
It's
my
the
God,
cheeses.
yeah. So they gave us cheese. They gave us eggs. I think the cheese was that berried cheese. I don't know what it is in Assyrian.
It's called jubta tomarta, which kind
That's
of
the one.
it's
Ground cheese.
they mature it
Yeah.
underground. So like I think they make it and then they kind of bury it for I don't know how long.
I don't know what the time
and then
is.
they allow it to mature.
It's kind of like halloumi. I feel like the best way for me to explain it is
Yeah.
like halloumi, but less milkhana, less salty. It's really good. And then
good.
there was this fresh jam. And then
I was obsessed.
I didn't know what it is.
Obsessed with this jam.
So Fadi's looking at me, goes, "Bro, what is this?" I was like, "I have no idea what this jam is, but you know, it looks like a berry, some sort of berry." And then Fadi's like, takes a scoop. He's going, and he was going in, bro. It was delicious. It was really sweet. Right. It was incredible.
So good, and it's all fresh produce.
And the yogurt.
And the yogurt.
Like we saw Khaltu outside, like cleaning the bowl that she made this fresh yogurt from, and like,
and the bread, like freshly made in the morning. I don't think I've ate that much bread in my life. I'm not complaining.
No. I'm grateful to have that much
I'm
bread.
doing it again.
Carbs galore, bro. And we lost weight, which was kind of weird.
I lost weight off that trip.
So much walking and exploring. So like one of the villages I do like as well was Barwa. And I guess for context, when I went on Gishru last year, there were some airstrikes and there were some issues. So we had to...
That's because it's close to the Turkish border.
Yeah.
There's a bit of contention
between
the Kurds and
there's tension constantly. There's battle between the Turkish and the Kurdish on the mountains.
Yeah.
And there were airstrikes kind of coming in between. So they had to change the itinerary.
Yeah.
So coming back to Barwa and actually going was incredible. We met Fadi, who was what a character.
Me.
Not this Fadi.
Not me.
It was another Fadi.
I am a character.
You are a character. You're great. But this Fadi was incredible. He was so funny, so entertaining, so welcoming, and like opened the door with open arms. And he was a character. He's absolute wacky energy. The energy was crazy. And like you feel fueled by Fadi.
Absolutely. Like it was a good journey from where our base was in, was it Dahuk at the time?
We were in Dahuk to Barwa.
To Barwa. So Barwa is a region.
Yeah.
With around 70 villages.
Something like that.
And half of them are Assyrian villages, from what I remember. Mm-hmm. And this was one small village called Anuna.
Anuna was nice.
Where Fadi and I think it's his sister.
Fadi and sister.
And his sister lived there.
And they had chickens like running around. They had two dogs. Tura, which is mountain, and then Khwara? Yeah, so Khwara, which is white. So the dog was white.
Yeah.
Put two and two together. Then Tura was mountain.
Yeah.
And it was a Tura, bro. Like,
and they understood Assyrian.
Yeah.
Dogs spoke Assyrian.
You'd be like, Tura tu.
Yeah.
And you're like,
and
I'm like, oh, what? I was like, I can't even get my dog to do it in English.
It's so sick.
It's cool, man. And like, we had like a little gathering. We had some food. We had some bazare, some chai.
No one cared because it rained.
It rained, but we built the tarp thing.
Yeah.
So like, Peter is like an NBA basketball player, bruv. This guy is tall.
Yeah.
I thought I was tall.
Our trip leader, Peter.
Tall, right? So I'm holding this blue tarp like over here with like I'm like a pillar in this thing. And then Peter's like stretching it over, tying it up, and then Fadi's doing parkour on the rooftops and stuff, like building, and they just built a whole protection, climbing on the buildings and the parkour, and like flipping around and building. And then we just had a gazebo, bro. We had a gazebo out of nowhere, out of thin air.
Teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork. The Gishru teamwork. And then we had some grilled chicken, we had some khalta, some bread, rozza, we had some chai. And we were dancing and Peter was singing a cappella. Joe was like his hype man in the back waving the flag. It was really fun.
There was one moment actually, we were there. I think the rain stopped and then I took a step back and I looked around at where we were and I'm thinking, who does this? Or like, who has this much fun in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of mountains in Iraq, northern Iraq?
You never think
in an Assyrian village, which I've known about pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
There's literally no one around. And there's like beautiful mountains everywhere you look.
It's all space, like all green, all fresh, all beautiful to look at. And I think it's unfortunate people have negative perceptions of what Iraq may look like, you know, whether it's the south or the north.
Yeah.
But I can tell you now, to anyone who's a young Assyrian in diaspora, you need to go to Atra. And I'm going to look at the camera when I say this. Fadi, look at your camera as well.
Look at my camera.
On 3, you need to go Atra. 1, 2, 3, you need to go Atra. Because when you do, you'll understand why a lot of the people that come back from Gishru have like such a... It's very hippie-ish. You come back and you're like, oh man, like...
I'm nationalist.
I see life and like different. I've changed. And you do.
Yeah.
I'm not even being dramatic, bro. You do. And like Fadi can vouch for it, my sister can vouch for it, anyone on that trip can vouch for the difference that your perception is, you know, when you come back to the West. You know, we feel like we're ungrateful, like we're very spoiled. We have all this privilege. And like, I'm not saying we don't have hardships, because everyone has hardships.
Yeah.
And I understand that. Work, life, love, family, whatever it is, we all have problems. But when you come back from Iraq and you come back to your life, you realize how insignificant your problems are in comparison to issues that are going on in the community. Yet, they are the happiest people I've ever met. And I'm so envious of their happiness. And I'm so, in a good way, not in a bad kind of envy, but I'm so envious of their happiness and the love and how big their hearts are. You know, they give me the shirt on their back. It was very humbling.
I mean, you could put it in terms of, this is my point of view, they probably have a fraction of the freedom we have in the West.
Yeah, of course.
But they probably have a lot more joy in their life.
Yeah, man.
Compared to us.
100%. Like, we may have everything we need at a beck and call, but like, I almost feel like the less you have is probably better. You know, like it really gives you perspective and makes you realize how grateful you should be for a lot of things in our life. Yeah. You know? But the villages were just a really humbling experience, and I think I learned a lot talking to locals and speaking to friends I made this year and last year that were from these different villages.
So one thing for me that I noticed, or not noticed, but obviously leaving the UK, you're going to a different destination. It's not home. No, it doesn't feel like home. You go on holiday or whatever. It's somewhere else.
Of course,
you're a tourist.
Right.
As soon as I landed there for 2 weeks, and it may have been down to the itinerary, may have been down to where we were going, and we were kind of like maybe in our own bubble, but also not.
A little bit.
It didn't feel like I was away from home.
No.
It felt like home those 2 weeks.
Not one bit.
I can walk on the street and speak to Assyrian to anyone on the street. Well, I know who's an Assyrian, and I know I can speak that language. Yeah. You go in the town in Ankawa in Erbil. Shops have Assyrian writing on them, or you can speak Assyrian. Even people who inhabit there who aren't Assyrian can speak Assyrian. Yeah,
and that's kind of a mind-blowing perspective, because you almost think, you only assume anyone who's Assyrian can speak Assyrian. So when you go into Iraq, like there was a coffee shop and there was a Lebanese guy who happened to be in the coffee shop. Yeah. He started speaking to me in Surid, and I was like, I'm in Egypt, like in Surid. He goes, no, I'm in Lebanon. I was like, wait, what? I was like, how do you know the language, bro? But like, the populations in the main frame, like the main cities like Ankawa and Duhok, I find to be fairly populated by Assyrians. Yeah. So it's more of a common language than you think. So a lot of people who may be Kurdish or any form of Middle Eastern country that are living in Ankawa speak Assyrian. Yeah. And it's just like a...
mind blown.
The most hard-hitting thing for me on the whole trip personally was Simele. I'm sure you probably agree as well. Yeah. For those who don't know about Simele, in 1933... there was an Assyrian genocide that had taken place within that area. Yeah. We were misled and like tricked into kind of going into that space, right? And
we were kind of like sheep to the slaughter, all told to go into one place, and it was an opportune time for the powers that be at the time to basically slaughter every Assyrian in that area, or in that concentrated area.
Yeah. May God rest their souls.
It was a somber moment seeing the site. So where the site happened was kind of on top of a kind of hill, like I would say, and we went and visited it. I'm sure people had to push a few buttons or kind of open a few doors to get us in that place. Yeah. But I think I could easily speak on behalf of everyone. There was no one that did not shed a tear.
It was intense, and it was, I guess, like a rush of emotions had kind of come through in that point, in the sense of anger. I felt very angry, very upset to see... just to see like a place and a space where our people had been massacred, and the lack of respect in which it was kept in, like the way it was looked after was terrible. Someone in the village had got arrested and put into prison for Al-Assas breaking into it when he was cleaning it up.
He was cleaning it up. You go there and you'd think they'd look after the place, or they'd look after kind of a historical site. But you go there, and it's basically someone's back garden.
Yeah.
You go there, and there's kind of plastic bottles everywhere.
It's disgusting.
People smoking shisha, so you can see the coals left there.
Mm-hmm.
In amongst, and this is as crude as I can say it, in amongst bones.
Yeah, I think, you know, I don't even want to sound. It's not even dramatic when I say it. You can see remains of the people from the massacre, from the genocide, and like the fact that they have the audacity to enjoy their time there and to litter and to disrespect a grave, a mass grave, is infuriating. And on top of that, they had put a block of cement, so they built a network tower. I don't know what they call it, like a phone tower. On top of the whole space, they filled it with cement where they knew a good fraction of those bodies were, and they had built a tower on top of it, which is just rubbed salt into the wounds. Like the amount of disrespect, like I can't put into words how frustrated I was. I was fuming. I was crying my eyes out. Everyone was. But it's also like a strange thing in the sense that we all came together much closer, and we all realized why we should be going back to Atra, and that's one of the main reasons. I think people need to see things like this, and I know it's a lot to take in, but I think in order for people to really fathom the suffering and the problems that our community faces in Iraq, you need to see it. It fuels a lot of emotions. There was people in that group towards the end of the trip who are crying and who are angry and who are upset, and in the least bad way possible. I was like, do you know what? I'm so glad you're angry, and I'm so glad you're upset, and I'm so glad you're feeling these feelings, because this is going to fuel you when you come back, and you are going to make a significant impact, and you're going to change the future of our community for the better, and you're going to feel very fulfilled. You're doing your duty to help your nation. And yeah, I think I can speak on behalf of anyone and everyone in that group when I say, like, we're all ready to make a significant change to our communities, and the excitement and the energy is there. And I don't want to bring down the podcast or bring it to be negative, but these things need to be highlighted. And we're all ready to make a significant change and improvement on our community, not only in Atra, not only in Iraq, but also in the US, and also in Europe, and also in Australia. We need to make this officially like a recognized thing in our diaspora communities, and we also just need to make sure that place is being preserved the best way it can be. But
also one thing to add on that, I would probably say, is we all left there feeling different kind of emotions. Anger being probably one of the biggest ones that we felt. But also as Assyrians, and I think it's quite synonymous as Assyrians, as majority, we grew up as Christians. And I think the most important thing is that we do forgive what happened, but we also don't forget what happened.
Never forget.
And we channel those emotions to do good for our community.
100%. I think like one thing that I noticed was incredible about our community in Atra was they're feeling anger and they're feeling resent and they're feeling all these emotions, but like they still have a clean heart and a pure heart of gold, and they're not fighting with violence. Like, it's not like they're not responding back the same way. We're taking the step above, and even in our campaigning, and even like organizations that are trying to raise awareness, we're not stooping to certain levels and behaviors. We're doing it by the books, and we're doing it the right way. Which I think speaks volumes about the heart of our community and our morals and the way we were all raised within our, within the community. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how the applicants this year and like the previous applicants last year and all the Gishru applicants make a change to the community and have an impact, because, from a religious perspective, obviously I'm a man of faith. God has given us gifts, right? I see it as God has given everyone a gift. You may have not tapped into it just yet, but there is something of value in each of us that we need to contribute to our community. So again, I'm excited to see what people do, and like I think it's going to be incredible. Some of the changes that we're going to make, people in our group are going to make, and anyone who feels the same passion that we did coming back from this trip.
Yeah. Moving forward, we actually had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. I think I don't want to bring it down the vibe and stuff.
Let's bring it back up a bit.
Let's bring it back up. I mean, Fadi, I'm going to ask you this question actually. What was one of the biggest culture shocks that you found in Accra, like when you were there? What was just like, oh my god, I'm here, like this is different, bruv. Like what was that?
I think it's the constant celebrations, and I wouldn't say partying to the extent, but the social aspect to it is insane. People don't go to sleep until like 4 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, man. That was a harsh reality.
And that's normal for them.
Standard behaviour.
Like, it's not because we were there or because it was Chab Nisan, which is the Assyrian New
New
Year,
Year,
which we're mainly there for as well. Mm-hmm. I think the concept of I finish work at 3-4 o'clock,
yeah,
and then I'm out till like 12 hours later till 4 a.m.
It's wild,
and
bro.
then I'm only sick a few hours, and then we go again.
It's tiring. It's so tiring. Like the itinerary is intense, bro. But like you have a really long day, and then everyone's like, okay, we're gonna go for dinner. We turn up like it'll be 2 a.m. We'll be alright, Fadi. We should probably get some sleep.
Yeah.
I tie my back. Fadi ties his back, and I'm like, yo, Fadi, do you have that sick picture of me from Chab Nisan, bro? I need it for Instagram.
The fire shots.
The Nora content, bro.
And Julad Khumale, which is our traditional clothing.
They're the best thing to wear as well, bro. And like, I think that was a culture shock for me, but in a good way. It was a great shock. Like, when you wear it, you feel like an absolute Arya, bro. I'm like, I can do anything I want when
is lion.
Oh, yeah, Arya is lion. I'm
lion
sorry.
In Assyrian.
I felt like a lion, bro. I'm like, I'm there with my mane and my fluffy feathers. I didn't have it this year. The parra, the feathers. So I heard there's a story behind that, and it might be wrong. I mean, it's just through family and friends, but I think basically for people to earn the feathers on the hats, they have to pick the feathers themselves from birds.
Oh, really?
Apparently. You know that folklore family nonsense, bro. I don't know how genuine it is.
I'm starting to like we said. I'm starting to believe these folklore stories.
Yeah.
More and more.
They're probably genuine.
Yeah, they're true.
When you hear them in a Western space and you're like, you have to go chase a bird and grab a feather.
Yeah,
I don't know. That sounds a bit long, bro. I might
stretch.
Dramatic. So for me, I'm just gonna be without the feathers. I'm calm because I didn't get it this year. Steve is salty, by the way.
Steve,
bro.
Shout out to Steve Sorti who sorted us out with the clothing.
Absolute G. Like his Julad Khumale are incredible, and like Fadi, you even had the privilege to go to his house.
Yeah,
he gave that VIP fitting.
I got the VIP fitting from Steve. So shout out to Steve. It's like the clothes are a bit too big for me, so he goes, I've got a really nice fitted one or a smaller size.
Yeah.
Went to his house where basically the whole top floor is him, like his workshop, and like all the clothes he has. All the different kind of traditional clothing from the villages, specifically for each village.
Yeah.
He gave us a guided tour of how he does his work. It's insane, honestly insane. He gave me a 60-year-old Julad Khumale.
No way.
Which it was hand stitched, not by himself. He's not 60 years old.
No, he's not. He's a bit younger.
But he's not been around that long. But a really old. He told me to look after it, which I did.
You did.
And I pulled it off pretty well.
Please see some pictures here of Fadi as we speak about this.
No, but honestly, it was honestly a privilege to wear those clothes, and
it was really funny. So last year I had some flight cancellations. Yeah. And Steve Asoli is going to remember this because he reminded me again this year. When I landed in Accra, I landed a bit last minute. So it was like half a day before the actual itinerary starts. So I came in, I got dragged by, I think it was Onina and Inweta.
Yeah.
They dragged me and I was dragged by Onina and Inweta, I think, to this random Khaltu's house, right? I think they might have been related.
Yeah.
And she just like, I was in this room full of Julad Khumale, bro. I was like, how am I even here, bro? I just landed and I'm running in here. She's grabbed me these Julad, like kind of fitting me in, and she sorted me out, right?
Yeah.
And I was gone. So the morning of Chab Nisan last year, I'm wearing some random person's Julad Khumale, like I'm renting from someone else. So I'm asking Steve, yo, bro, come on, fit me up, innit?
Yeah.
So set me up. He's looking me up and down, bro, and he's like, and the Julad, whose Julad Khumale are these?
Yeah.
These aren't mine. And he's like, why didn't you get from me? And like,
yeah.
he was bantering, he was joking, but I knew like deep down he's
the sass,
very, very sassy. And he kept reminding me every time. He's like, yo, get my Julad Khumale. Why aren't you getting my Julad Khumale? And then he helped me with the wrist.
Yeah.
You know the long thing, bro. You wear the jacket and then the long
shirt
shirt
with long sleeves.
Bro, I felt like I was doing lassos with this thing. So obviously I have these things and he's tying me up and I didn't have this tattoo at the time, but he goes, turn around. I'm like, okay. You know, I turn around and he saw this tattoo, and he's like, oh, Gabarra. Okay. And like, he like forgave.
You get respect.
Yeah,
You got the respect.
I got the respect, bro. And then he forgave me. And then he reminded me this year when I came, he goes, dear, you're coming from my Jalal Khamal. I was like, bro, stop gunning.
He does not forget, bro. That guy guns for you.
Why does he hate me, bro? Yeah. Steve, what have I done, bro?
Steve, we love you. We love you.
Steve, why do you hate me? What was another culture shock? I think, can I say one actually?
No, go for it.
Bro, the biggest culture shock was the toilets.
Yo.
The reality, oh my God.
I mean, calling it a toilet is a bit of a stretch.
It's a generous word to use.
It's a hole in the floor, right?
It is a massive hole in the floor. Like, for context, bro. And you know what? When it was a harsh reality of like, this is how it is. Remember that random place we stopped off? It was a random petrol station. And it was me, you.
Oh, yeah.
Who was it? Me, you. Ninos?
I think it was Ninos.
Ninos, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think Anthony. Or Anton. It might have been Anton. So we stopped off at this petrol station, and you know I was like, Ben Jared, I need to go for a wee, and they're like, yalla, Jelle, go quickly. Yeah. I'm like, okay. So I'm talking to this guy who runs the shop or the petrol station. I'm like, where's your hammam, where a toilet? Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what word he's gonna understand. He just points this way, bro. You know, someone goes, where is this specific road? I'm like, okay, that's helpful. So I'm like walking down this open main road, trying to find a toilet. Then I see like a little hut, and I'm like, cool, it's probably in here. I turn and the sinks are on the floor, so like I think people wash their feet there because I think there's a prayer area.
Yeah.
So there's a place to wash feet, and then there's two toilets on the other side. Bro, there's no locks on these toilets.
Nope.
So obviously I'm gonna assume if I press or try and open it, it's locked.
Yeah.
Bro, how can some random Kurdish guy be in the toilet? Yeah. And I go like this, and I open, and suddenly I just felt this force behind it, like. Close the door, and I was like, oh my God, bro. I nearly walked into the hole with some random guy, and I was so embarrassed.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I ran back outside so he wouldn't know it was me that opened the door, bro. I was like, if I mix in a group, he's gonna think it's one of these guys.
It's one of them, but
it's one of them.
Strength in numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So I've run outside, like I'm like chilling. The guys are like, "You alright?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm cool, bro. Just chilling." And then the Kurdish guy comes out and he just gave me evils. He knew. He probably saw my hair, bro, over the doors. The doors for perspective only go up to here, bro.
No, only for you though.
Oh yeah, only for me. And I'm the Assyrian BFG. So the doors go up to here. I could probably lean over and see this guy taking a shit. But that was a massive culture shock to like use the holes. It was ridiculous.
I think my experience with the holes is probably in Nala. I avoided using those holes for a long time. All costs. Until when we were spending obviously the night, we spent the night in Nala with the villagers. And when you gotta go, right? Like you can't hold it.
No.
And I got up extra early.
Oh, did you?
Got up extra early.
I rate it.
Yeah.
I didn't know
You were
that.
all still sleeping. I'm like, you know what? I need to go. Everyone's still asleep.
No.
So I went. I couldn't go, bro. I got stage fright. I got stage fright. I was like there, and I'm like, I can't do this. And leg game, bro. I got like strong quads after that.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
100%,
you're
bro.
Squatting.
The whole time. Well, I can't even balance. Bro, I have a couch to access.
I needed a barbell.
I would have spotted you while using the toilet, bro.
That's a bit sus, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe not.
I know we spent 2 weeks together, but
I thought we were getting on.
No, not that close. No, I'm messing. But honestly, I went there at like 6 a.m. I had to go. I got stage fright, so I was like, I can't do this. I went back to sleep, and I psyched myself up for the next half an hour. Then I went back. And honestly, like, I understand why people say it's good for it's good for the body.
Oh,
like,
yeah, 100%.
Everything's open.
Yeah, bro. Bowels are
everything.
pouring, you know.
Everything's open.
And I felt like when you came back out, you were so light.
I was a new man.
I felt like you were slowly levitating.
I was levitating. I honestly, I lost like half my body weight.
All the kebab,
everything.
That is so funny.
But I think another culture shock was probably the food. I think we're talking about that, the food.
I can't explain into words like how much kubba, how much ruzza, how much kibte, the carbs, bro. Carbs for days.
So many carbs.
And like, I like carbs, but shimid ala, bro. I can't fathom how much carbs our community eats. And then like even sweets. like the chai.
Yeah.
Bro, 3 cups of shika.
It's more like, how much tea do you want with
Yeah,
your
yeah.
sugar?
You can have a cup of sugar and then dash of tea.
Yeah.
And then you mix. And
Yeah.
like when you drink it, basically in Iraq, from what I've learned, right, in my very minimal experience, if you have a cup of tea and as soon as you see a teaspoon in it, the sugar is in there. You're done. They pre-sugar your tea.
Yeah.
You have to ask specifically not to have sugar. Because if you don't do that, diabetes is going to come for you, bro. Because I drank it and I was like, oh, like immediately the sugar. And
you needed water. You basically need water to
yeah.
because you get thirsty.
And Jesus. And Jesus. Bro, honestly, because I think like, especially near the second half of the chai, it becomes syrupy because it's thick. You mix the sugar. So you're like slurping and you're like, there's sugar granules in my mouth, bro. It's too sweet. And they look at you weird if you have chai sada.
Yeah.
Like with no sugar.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, no sugar.
That was me. Everyone was like screw facing me.
They're like, disgusting, bro. They're all sweet. Like, the amount of baklava you have, like, what else is the other sweet stuff we eat, bro? Pretty much baklava and chai with like 10
Samir, I'm gonna gun for Samir here. I'm gonna gun for you, Samir. At every given moment, the guy would just rock up with bare sweets.
What were the things?
Bruv, like the little, like the fried dough balls and everything.
Bro.
Samir would just rock up and goes, ha khul, which means, here, take, there's food here.
Eat.
And like, not just a little bit, like he goes, no, keep taking. I'm like, Samir, man, you're gonna kill me.
Yeah, bro. I'm here for 2 weeks. I want to make the 2 weeks of this trip.
But
no
honestly,
early death
no,
for
but I
us,
appreciate
bro.
that. It was again, the hospitality, man. It was so good. The biggest culture shock was the schools.
The schools, man.
The schools. So we went and visited on the same day as Semeda. So that day was like emotional roller coaster. It got to 5 p.m. and I'm like, I'm exhausted. I need to go to bed.
I'm drained. It was a lot. It was a lot, man.
The schools. So we visited 2 schools.
We did, and they were both in Semele.
Both in Semele.
Right?
No, one just outside Semele.
Oh yeah, one was in Semele, and one was outside. Yep.
One primary school and one high school.
Mm-hmm.
We visited high school first.
Yeah.
Then the primary school. But yeah, I think going to see schools like solely Assyrian schools taught in Assyrian, unreal.
Words can't put it.
Yeah.
Words can't put it. I think like the insane thing to me, and I was talking to someone from the trip about this actually the other day. Bro, imagine learning Assyrian.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
English.
Yeah.
Kurdish, Arabic, and then on top of that, learning science, English, maths, history, all these subjects in Suri.
Yeah.
The level of intelligence on these children, and I was saying this to my friend the other day, the level of intelligence on these children is insane. The fact you picked up 4 languages, compulsory, by the way, compulsory, on top of that, learning all these subjects in one of these 4 languages, that you could be anything you want. You could do anything you want with that ability.
Yeah.
And I take my hats off to the teachers. Take my hats off to the students. Bro, they put me on the spot in one of the schools. They made me do a speech. And like, my Assyrian is not that good. So I'm there I'm panicking.
I'm gonna lose my job.
I'm gonna lose my job, bro. Honestly. I'm there stood up and then like the Rabita's like, if you want to say something, go for it. And I was like, honestly, I don't really want to say anything. But they put me on the spot and I bottled it and I went in English. I was like, I can't do this in Suri, bro. So I just gave the most generic speech in the world. I was like, you guys are doing a great job. Well done, kids. Fantastic.
Keep up the good work, lads.
I swear. Let's go, boys. Good job. Let's get in this huddle in. And then everyone just stood up. Like, I just gave the most influential. And I was gassed. I was like, cool, I'm going to take that, innit? And I was like, thank you. Actually. Everyone was doing this, by the way. Joe Denavi taught me this.
Everyone's like the whole time you just put your hand on your chest.
And your head.
And you have to like bow down to them. Like,
I don't really understand. I do that.
It's a respect thing, right?
I went to the barber shop after my trim. When I came back to London, I was like, thank you. I paid with contactless. But yeah, the schools are mind blowing, and I think the children are incredible. Like, they're really nice to talk to, and they're excited to meet you. Like, although it's a little bit intense, like it's probably nerve wracking on both sides. They were super excited to have us, and where we played football. No rules on football.
No rules. It was like 20 versus 20 or something like that, or and then everyone got involved. I'm lucky none of us came off injured. Yeah, because it was no prisoners.
It was ruthless.
Yeah.
And these kids are tackling on concrete, bro.
Yeah.
It was mad. For me, I just stayed up top Even though I did nothing up top, I stayed up top.
Target man.
I'm an Ilana, bro. I'm a tree, bro. Send me the ball. And then, like, as soon as I get a touch, 17 kids.
So everyone on you, bang.
Slide tackles, bro. Violence. But it was so much fun. That was good fun. It was my favorite. One of my favorite moments, if I'm honest, is like going to the schools
and dancing with them as well. I think they were preparing for the
parade.
For the Assyrian New Year parade.
Yeah, man.
They dance so well for people that young.
Bro, like you know in Rishad Khiga, so like the head of the dance, basically for those who aren't Assyrian or Nakhraya, when you dance, you have like a line, and there's different kind of dances.
Yeah.
You know, Siskani, Peda, Gabarra, different ones. But the one that is most common, I'd say, is probably Bagia or Peda. I think they call it Peda. But like the front people, I'll say like maybe like the first 5 people.
Bring the energy.
You have to set the tone.
Energy.
And if you don't set the tone,
get to the back. Or you'll get to the back. They'll make you get to the back because you get cut off.
Oh yeah, 100%. People are ruthless, bro.
Yeah.
If they don't think you're doing a good job, they're gonna take the flag and they're gonna
take
carry
it off you. Yeah.
A lot of the villages, Nala, were working on projects to help diasporas come back.
Yeah.
I think it was the canal or like something with the water, right?
The water canal. Yeah.
They turned and said the reason we're doing this project is one to help our people, obviously, like Nala, but it will entice diaspora Assyrians to come.
Oh, they were literally saying, if you want to come back here, we'll help you with finding land.
Yeah.
Build a house and whatever like that.
But there was an Australian, Mashidi Shimujare, but I got along with this Australian guy who reverse migrated. Last year I met him. He told me he was building a house.
Yeah.
Next year I met him. I told you.
Yeah.
And then he built the house.
He built the house.
And he's here now.
Yeah.
And like he says, it's incredible. And like he's way more at peace, and he's just in such a better position mentally, which is incredible. But I guess to conclude this episode.
I mean, what's next?
What's next? I feel like for us as a podcast, we're just wanting to continue to mix, I guess, like our Western lifestyles alongside our experiences in Atra and how it is being Assyrian or even Middle Eastern.
For what's next, I think we've introduced this podcast, and wherever it goes, it goes. I think it's a good first episode to talk about our experience for 2 weeks.
Me too.
But one thing, it really stuck with me, and we talked about the podcast before this happened, so I think it all kind of makes sense and it all aligns. And being someone that believes in God, I do think this is something God has put on both of our hearts. But one thing I would say is we were in Blejane, which is another village in the Sapna Valley, which again is beautiful. And hopefully we could put a picture up of the Sapna Valley. But this guy in Blejane who was a proper Umtanaya, which is kind of like a nationalist.
Gabarra,
and he goes, we're not expecting you to come back. We're not expecting you to think it'll be nice if you do. But thank you for coming and visiting us. But we just ask one thing of you, is to take your experiences here and take them all the way back to the West and talk about your experiences.
Yeah.
And he mentioned writing 2 articles every year.
Yeah, he did. I remember that talk, and it was very powerful.
Yeah, 2 articles every year, just to show your experiences or to talk about things.
My gift from God, or something I feel like I've been blessed with, is the ability to create content and the ability to captivate people through visuals and inspire, hopefully. And Fadi, your way with words and your intelligence and your understanding of the current world, and even your love for podcasts, one of the reasons we want to do this because you love podcasts, and I've always wanted to get into it. Like with God's calling and the help of Nashat Atra with their amazing speeches and talks, we just felt like this was the best way to utilize us as people to continue to bring what we've taken from Atra and spread it to as many masses as we can.
Absolutely.
And we want to thank you guys, I guess, for listening to this first episode, because we were really nervous, and like I'm excited that we
officially nervous.
But again, officially double anxiety. But like I'm very grateful that you guys are taking the time to even listen to this, and it would mean the absolute world if you guys could share it and tell a friend to tell a friend. And even if you're not Assyrian, I don't care. Like I want you guys to understand our culture. I want you guys to understand our heritage and why we're so proud. And hopefully we'll be able to captivate you guys. And
but I think probably to close it, let's go back to the Gabarra of the show, or the podcast, which is an introduction, something we want to introduce.
So essentially, in a nutshell, it's kind of looking at the community and seeing who we can give our appraisals to and respect to for kind of making an impact on our community. whether it's short term, long term, it could be current, it could be from the past, whoever it is. If there's people that we're hearing or seeing about, we want to give them recognition. I'll let you pick him.
I think it's pretty much quite obvious who we're going to pick, and I think the whole reason we're here today talking about this is because of this organisation or this group of people. So I think the Gabarra of the podcast is Gishru and the board members of Gishru. So I can't name all of them.
I can.
So Susie, Joe, Renya, Joe's wife,
Mariam, Peter, who are the trip leaders, and there's a bunch of other people like from the marketing team and like just people behind the scenes. There's a few to list out.
Jay, marketing team.
Odrana, me, Kristen, and there's even people back in the diaspora countries who have contributed massively. Yeah. So I think they all deserve. We can't really give a round of applause for a podcast, but a massive amount of respect.
Thank you so much.
Love. And like from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for blessing us with the opportunity to reconnect with our motherland, because we wouldn't be doing this and even be as passionate as we are if you guys hadn't done this. So a massive respect to Gishru. And make sure you lot check out their Instagram, because I made their content. Check them out, because
shameless plug.
I know you got to. Jokes aside, like the fact that you're able to see like the summaries of the days and get a feel and a taste of what the experience is like. And applications, God willing, Khair Ta'ala, will open very soon or further down the year. And my advice to you is like apply. Message anyone who you know who has been, or even DM us if you have any questions. We'd happily answer. Maybe we'll do a poll on Instagram and react to some questions and stuff like that, and just engage a bit more. But please look at it and apply. I can't stress enough how incredible it is.
I think the best way to close it. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank
you.
And make sure you guys follow and like and share, because we work very hard and we've been here for a long time. So please.
And let us know what you want us to talk about, if there is any that you want us to talk about.
It's been Jason,
Fadi,
and this is the Gabarra podcast.
All right, yalla, bye.
Yalla, see you.
Yalla, see you.
Bye.
Yalla, see you. Bye. Yalla, bye. Yalla, bye. Yalla, bye. Bye.